Hi, my name is Tara Bradbury and welcome to another Harcourt's Property Management webinar session. This one's titled the Become a Solution Expert, and throughout this session I'm going to talk about some different scenarios where you might come up against disagreements with investors on rent increases, even potentially rent decreases, as well as focusing heavily around pricing and ways that we can, rather than trying to, provide information and then we're getting the no and no and no all the time, provide you with different ways that you can become a solution expert quite easily within your marketplace. The most challenging objections that I've found that I've come up against within my career within the industry is, why should I pay my rent? Why should I put my rental property through you? It's probably one of the big calling factors of, well, why should I choose you? What makes you stand out as an agent and also as a company as to being the best agency in the area, especially if you are a business that does charge the highest fees, which was something that we did have within our marketplace. We were the highest fee charging within our local area, yet we're still able to secure the business. And then give me the lowest percentage, or I'll just head down the road and go to the agent that charges 5%. So generally, a lot of the time, people are making decisions about where they're going to secure their property and who they're going to be dealing with. It does, in some cases, come down to the figures. So in the listing presentation is a great opportunity, especially for those BDMs out there, to really hone in and make sure that the potential clients that you are talking to are 100% of full understanding of the department structure, and they also have a very clear and knowledgeable understanding of what you are going to be providing them as an agency and what they can achieve in the way of return and why that is, and different wording that you can use along the way. Being open and asking questions that allow them to speak more in the conversation does make a big difference. So try and make it that you're asking questions that encourages them to give a open response rather than a yes or no response does certainly help. This is the time and a great opportunity as a BDM for you to really educate your landlords on price. Now, if you have a situation where you have a prospective landlord that's really wanting to achieve, say, $400 a week, but we both know that the property is actually only worth $350 a week, you need to then take the time to educate that investor so they're aware, okay, if you'd like, we can give it a go. It'd be fantastic if we can achieve the $400 a week. However, I just want to share with you what I know on the research that I've done. Properties within your marketplace are leasing for around $350 a week, which is more within the price range of what we have been achieving over the last 3 months. Some examples of those properties are number 3 Smith Street, number 7 Smith Street, for example, and then you'll go on saying some of the differences might be that this property has ceiling fans whereas yours doesn't, talking about different factors and relating that information to them to give them a clear understanding. If once you've done that conversation and then you still find yourself being stuck in the situation where they're wanting to really stick to their guns, they're really wanting to get that $400 a week, then my suggestion to you would be, let's have a go. If we can achieve it, it's fantastic, and then obviously that's a really positive opportunity for any other investors within that marketplace. However, do understand that if your property is entirely vacant within the first week and we've had absolutely no inquiry, the first thing your property manager is going to talk to you about is price. So if you've pre-educated them earlier about what the situation is going to be at hand, especially when they have made the decision on what price they're going to be, and they have that first follow-up phone call giving feedback on what's been happening, they can appreciate and understand, and they'll remember, yep, I talked to Tara and she did say to me if there's been no inquiry, you'd be talking about price. Most agency objections is a bad thing, and they unfortunately miss the big opportunity. I think objections are great because they allow us to reassess, obviously, the structure of our department. If people are objecting to different things in the way that we do them, there's obviously a reason why. And I think that with our current clients and our potential new customers, it's really important that we do listen to those warning signs so that we can make a difference to the way that we present the business and as a group, how we present each other as well. Don't just tune out in the situation. So if you are getting feedback, whether it be on the commission side of things, for the business if they feel like the commission is too high, or if they're talking maybe about a past experience that they've had with a previous agent that didn't go so well. Really make sure that you listen. Last thing you should do is jump in over the prospect as soon as they say, but the other agent said. Allow them to speak and get the information that you want to get out of them, and then obviously listen and actively listen and make sure that you're taking everything you need in order to give the response back that you know is going to sell them. Repeat the concern and show understanding. So referring back to the previous slide, let's say that their past experience was revolved around rent arrears. If that's the client's past situation that didn't go so well and they bring that to your attention, what I would suggest doing is saying, look, you did mention just a couple of minutes ago that you had an arrears issue with your past agent. I completely understand where you're coming from, and this is our process that we follow within our agency that we've found very effective for our property investors. From the beginning, we issue a text message, and by doing that, that's a great initial reminder for tenants to make them aware that they have fallen behind in arrears. We then go to the remedy of breach notice. We then go to the notice to leave, and you talk them through the process. And I think that by going back over and reminding them, yes, I understand this is a concern. However, as an agency, we do this really well, and you can be confident that you're going to be looked after and those issues that you had in the past won't happen. It's another great way to remind them that that's why they should choose you and you're the best in your marketplace. When you're 100% confident that the prospect is done talking, then show them that you understand and repeat back to them. So don't try and jump in and talk over them. I know that that's something that I've got to be really careful of myself, is that I'll be listening to a conversation and only within the first minute they might say something that grabs my attention. I think I've got a really good response for that. And then you've still got to listen to a conversation that might be going for 3 minutes. So you've got to keep that information in the back of your mind while still actively listening. Lots of practice in that area for myself still, and I think that some of you might be able to relate to that as well. Explore the objections. I find that the first objections aren't the prospective landlord's real concern. Many landlords don't want to admit that they don't have enough money to use the services, so they raise a series of other objections instead. So sometimes you might find that the objection they're raising is in a way to try and brush off maybe the actual underlying concern that's the issue. And this is why it's really important as BDMs, especially for anyone, I should say, who's signing up for new business, that you do take the time down to relax and relate with the client, build the relationship with them in the listing presentation, and really listen. Don't be afraid to confirm as well. So many BDMs carry the fear of asking the question, but when you come this far with the objection, don't miss that opportunity. If you don't go in and reconfirm what you've discussed, sometimes there can be a thing of that we never spoke about, that if there's some really key issues that you talked about that have been past concerns that they've had, don't be afraid to just bring them back up and reconfirm them again where you get the opportunity. Now, coming towards the end of obviously the webinar now, I just wanted to share with you some can I match it examples and different things that you can come up against. Mr. Landlord, before, so these ones are here are focused around discounting basically. So there are a few examples of responses that might be really helpful to you. Usually the question is, can I match it? Here are some of the responses that you can give back to your clients. And Mr. Landlord, before I answer that question, would you mind if I asked, what have you been offered for that management fee? From my experience, we find that agents who are offered a discounted fee are often providing a discounted service. So you can be, depending on the client, utilise some of these, get a feeling for what their level, I guess, of, this would be quite a cheeky response to give, so you can kind of base it on the conversation that you have prior before you bring that line out. Mr. Landlord, in comparing the fees, you need to consider that we don't just look after your property. We are focused and dedicated on maximising your income and optimising your capital growth in all of our management processes. Did they highlight how they can reduce your risk when discussing their fees with you? So risk is obviously the biggest thing for so many property investors, and talking about how you can reduce that risk is obviously a great reminder as to why they should choose you. Mr. Landlord, another important consideration when choosing agency is how quick they were to negotiate on their management fees to secure your business. If they are open to discounting on their management fees, aren't you concerned they may discount on your rent when the tenant secures a new lease? very valid point to put forward, and this one I found to be very powerful as well when I was going through the negotiation process. If you employ our team to manage your investment, we will always be firm in our negotiations to ensure your rental income is maximised. The choice is yours. You can choose the cheapest fee or a company that is dedicated to reducing your risk and putting more money in your back pocket. So again, there are some there that are very forward and very quirky, I guess, and may work, and I have used them in some cases, but not with every client, and been able to pull them off. I'd like to thank you for attending this webinar and hope that some of the examples that I have given you today will give you, I guess, a better insight and an easier way to approach objections when you do come up against them. And I hope that a few of the script samples that I've left at the back of the webinar there for you are ones that you can refer back to, and hopefully show that you can be a standout in your marketplace just by the way that you selectively choose your wording. Thank you so much for your attendance, and if I can be of any further assistance, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Thanks, guys.